I would like to start by giving an acknowledgement of country. In the spirit of reconciliation, ShelterBox Australia acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. I'd also like to thank ShelterBox USA for providing the opening music. They recently held an online event in lieu of their gala dinner, which I tuned into. A fantastic hour of entertainment and fundraising, and I was quite astounded to see that they raised over $260,000 US in 1 hour. Now tonight it's not about fundraising, it's about saying thank you to you guys for the support that you've shown us, not just last year, but for the 3 previous years. So the Champions Awards, this is their 3rd year, I think, of running, an idea that we borrowed from ShelterBox Canada, and the idea being to recognize clubs that give us a support over a period of 3 years, and the different levels are $1,000 for a bronze award, up to $3,000 for 3 years for the silver award, and $5,000 or more for a gold award. So it'll give me great pleasure later on to hand out virtually those awards and recognize your support. First up, I would like to play a short video that I think was first played at the Toronto Convention. But for me, this video really does sum up not only the importance, but the breadth of the partnership between Rotary and ShelterBox.
ShelterBox and Rotary International work together as project partners in disaster relief. We hand deliver aid to families to give them safe shelter and the fundamental tools they need to rebuild their community. We work hard to understand the impact of each disaster and the need that this creates within those individual communities. We're constantly learning and adapting to ensure that we provide the most appropriate aid. Since the year 2000, ShelterBox has responded to more than 270 natural disasters and conflicts in at least 95 countries, providing vital aid to over 1.1 million people. Rotarians and Rotary groups all over the world support ShelterBox in a variety of ways. In addition to tireless volunteering and fundraising, Rotarians in local countries provide invaluable assistance during our responses. For example, in Sri Lanka in May 2016, when the most concentrated rainfall in 25 years drenched the island, the Rotary Club of Capital City in Colombo worked with ShelterBox, helping with transportation, translation, and through liaising with the Ministry of Disaster Management and with the local authorities to help provide families with shelter boxes. In Peru, throughout March 2017, intense rains caused widespread flooding and landslides, leaving thousands of families without even basic shelter after they had lost their homes and their livelihoods. Rotary called upon ShelterBox to respond, and working together with World Vision, with Rotary and local and national government, we responded with shelter kits that help families rebuild their homes. Rotarians are able to provide first-hand knowledge of the countries in which we respond, making a difference through their logistical and operational support and vital links into communities. We're determined to see a world where no family goes without shelter. It's the sole reason we exist. Family comes first, and every decision we make is based on the people we help, on transforming lives, and on rebuilding hope.
So yeah, I think that gives you a really good idea just how important that relationship is, and the help that we receive on the ground from clubs is invaluable. And I think especially at a time like now during the pandemic, where we can't get our own teams on the ground, and we're relying on Rotary to be our eyes and ears. It also makes me very proud to give you a bit of an update on the figure of people that we've helped. So that was 2017, that video was produced, and 3 years later we've helped another 500,000 people in that space of time. So that's quite an achievement. Next up, I would like to introduce Sanj Srikanthan, who is the CEO of ShelterBox in the UK, the ShelterBox Trust. Sanj joined the organization last year and comes from a background in humanitarian aid work on the ground with the International Rescue Committee, and served in the British Army. And I'm very pleased to say that Sanj's action-orientated approach is going to ensure that we reach out and help more and more people in a more efficient way. So I'll hand you over to Sanj. You should be able to share the screen, Sanj.
Great, thank you. Mike, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Thanks, everyone. It's great to be able to join you, and thank you for all your work and support in delivering ShelterBox's mission. It's my first time talking to all our friends in ShelterBox Australia, and it's great. It's not my first time, though, working with Australians. I did, in addition to being in the British Army, do a transfer for 6 months with the Australian Army, and I was based up in Darwin, and best 6 months of my life, loved it. And hopefully I'll be able to come back out to Australia to see Mike and some of you as well once coronavirus allows. 2020 has been obviously challenging for all of us, but I think the difference between being in a humanitarian organization and in many other areas and walks of life is we have to think beyond ourselves. And unfortunately, disasters, conflicts, crises haven't stopped in 2020 because of coronavirus. And in fact, it's made these things even more dangerous, from people who've lost their homes because of cyclones, typhoons, flooding, who go into collective centers where suddenly they are mixing with other people who have coronavirus, to more distributions needed in places like Somalia and Syria in the midst of conflict, where a distribution to reach 500 families a year ago might only take a day is now going to take several days because we're social distancing, but we're also trying to train them in the use of hand basins and soap so that they can keep themselves safe from coronavirus as well. So the challenges have got greater, but I'm really proud of the team here at ShelterBox and our partners around the world and the Rotary Clubs who've supported us, because what we've realized is the time for feeling sorry for ourselves ended the day we knew about coronavirus. It's now time to get on. And in March, when much of the world was going into some form of lockdown, we were strategizing about how to do a COVID response strategy for 2020, something we didn't expect to be doing at the start of the year. And what has that meant? Well, firstly, it's meant that we've been busier than ever. Almost 30,000 households are going to be reached this year, which is an incredible number to have reached with all the challenges that we've faced. It's meant that we've adapted our kits yet again. It's not the first time, of course, but now we're talking about face masks, PPE items, soap, hand basins, the kind of things that will keep families safe from coronavirus, as well as, of course, sheltering them after disaster. And we couldn't have done this without Rotary Clubs around the world. In Philippines, where we've been responding to Typhoon Rolly or Goni, whichever word you use, the Rotary Club of Batangas Midwest has been our partner on the ground, linking us up with the Philippines Navy to get the kits to some of the outlying islands that are worst affected, forklift trucks, warehouse space. There's a Rotarian in the Philippines who's given us, prior to the creation of our own warehouse space for years, worth around $400,000 US in terms of the cost it would be if we didn't have that kind of support. And in Central America, in Honduras, responding to Typhoon Eta, the Rotary Club of San Pedro Sula has been our contact on the ground and our partner, along with Habitat for Humanity, to assist as many as of the 100,000 who've lost their home, as well as the million who've lost their livelihoods in what is the worst hurricane to come through that country since 1974. And that's the thing we're seeing, both in places like Philippines, in Vanuatu, in Honduras, where we're responding, is that the weather patterns are getting more severe at the worst possible time with coronavirus going on. And we can speculate as to the many causes of that, but the reality on the ground is we're making tough choices about who we can reach and how many we can serve. And that's a real problem. And our only limit is how much we can fund to support those programs. So as I've said to the team, and I'll say to you all, we shouldn't exist in a perfect world, but sadly we are a growth industry because those needs are greater. And that's where I think Rotary is so important. Not only are our missions aligned, not only do we have that can-do spirit and that sense that we can all play a part to relieve human suffering after disaster, but we actually do something about it as well. And I know this event that Mike has laid on for all of you is to celebrate what all of you have done and many clubs around the world are doing to raise vital funds to buy those shelter boxes, those kits that are making a difference to families. And that video you saw is what's happening daily on the ground in terms of what we're seeing. And some of the most moving stories are the unexpected thanks you get from people who think they've been forgotten halfway around the world because everyone is looking at coronavirus in their own countries. And to receive a shelter kit is an incredible message of hope that clubs, Rotarians, and ShelterBox responders haven't forgotten them even in the midst of COVID. So I have to thank you all for what you've done this year to help in that mission, but also lay down the challenge that our work is going to be busier than ever. Next year, we're looking to reach 36,000 households, and that's a conservative estimate. It could be higher. And that isn't because this is ideal or this is the way things should be done, but because this is what the world needs and this is what we're going to see in terms of disaster and conflict. So the team is gearing up for an ambitious 2021. We're hopeful about a vaccine, but with or without a vaccine, we expect ShelterBox response teams to return to the field. The only reason they haven't isn't because of lack of willingness, Mike will tell you that, but because we don't want to do any harm. That's the most important humanitarian principle, which is we don't want to bring coronavirus to these communities, and we only want to work where there's testing and medical resources in country to ensure that we're not eating into the resources of people who are affected. But I expect that in spite of all of that, ShelterBox response teams will return to the ground. So you're going to see those iconic t-shirts and those iconic teams back out doing the aid and talking to all of you about how they're working with the support that you provide. I just want to end by thanking Mike and the ShelterBox Australia team who have been steadfast in their commitment, their fundraising, their ambassadorship and advocacy on behalf of ShelterBox across Australia. I know, like the UK, Australia has been grappling with this virus, but like all of us in the ShelterBox global movement, they've done a fantastic job in driving up support for our mission and bringing in new support from clubs all over Australia. And lastly, of course, thank you to all of you, not just for joining this event, but also for all the fundraising you've undertaken over the years, and especially in this challenging year for all of us. It means a lot to all of us here in the UK and around the world. So thank you.
Thank you, Sanj. Next up, I'm just going to play another short video. Some of you might have seen this on our socials, but I won't give it any introduction because it's quite self-explanatory, and by now you'll recognise the man on the beginning of the slide.
Yeah, sorry you get to see too much of me.
I'm delighted to be able to join you all. As CEO of ShelterBox, it's a privilege to recognise the incredible support of so many of you around the world that make our work possible. As we celebrate our 20th anniversary, it's with great pride that we recognise our longest standing partner and a cornerstone of ShelterBox, Rotary International. Rotary International is truly in the DNA of everything that we do. And it was Rotarian People of Action who founded us in 2000. And it's thanks to the vast global network of Rotary that together we've reached 1.6 million people with life-saving shelter after disaster. When people have homes, hope follows. It is a great honor to be able to present ShelterBox's first Global Humanitarian Service Award to Rotarians all around the world who've made this work possible. Here, on behalf of Rotary International, to accept the award is General Secretary and CEO John Hugo. Thank you.
Rotary International is proud to partner with ShelterBox in disaster relief. And on behalf of Rotary International, I'm honored to accept this Global Humanitarian Service Award. What makes Rotary special is the people around the world who come together every day to honor and practice service above self. Therefore, this award is really for every Rotarian in the world who has ever enabled this life-saving work. Every club who has supported ShelterBox, every Rotarian and Rotaractor who has served as a ShelterBox response team member and as an ambassador. Every district who's rallied support, and every individual who made this work possible. To think that what started as a single Rotary Club project back in 2000 has now sheltered over 1.5 million people in over 100 countries around the world. That is just incredible. But together, we should take great pride in this achievement of supporting families recovering from disaster around the world. Thank you, and happy anniversary, ShelterBox.
Okay, so that's that might come as a bit of a surprise to some of you, but I think a very much a deserved award. Obviously, Rotary is in ShelterBox's DNA, and this award, like I said, it's to all Rotarians around the world that have supported ShelterBox. So give yourselves a pat on the back. Now, next up, I'd like to read out the roll of honor for the Bronze Champion Awards. As I said earlier, the Bronze Award is given to clubs that have donated $1,000 for the past 3 years. And as such, they have our eternal thanks. They'll also receive a certificate in the post and a digital badge like the ones in the background here, only the right way around, to put on your website. So first up, from District 9455, Bronze Award goes to the Rotary Clubs of Mundaring, Moora, Swan Districts, Freshwater Bay, Wanneroo, and Welshpool. From 9465, South Perth Burswood, Manjimup, Booragoon, Willerton, Bustleton Geograph Bay, Attadale, Bridgetown, Collie, Kalgoorlie, and Mandurah. From District 9500, the Rotary Clubs of Barossa District, Incorporated, Glenelg, Goolwa, St. Peters, and Stirling. From 9570, Maryborough Sunrise, Discovery Coast, and Walkerston. From 9600, Karana Belbari, Nunda, Samford Valley, Caboolture, and Maleny. From 9630, Dalby, Salisbury, and Beenleigh. From 9640, Alstonville. 9650, Armidale Central, Inverell, Kempsey West, Port Macquarie Sunrise. From 9670, the Rotary Clubs of Waratah, Dubbo West, Nelson Bay, and Morisset. From 9675, the Rotary Clubs of Liverpool West, Engadine, Five Dock, Camden, Fairy Meadow, Shell Harbour City, Wetherall Park. 9685. Obviously, some of these districts have changed, but this is for the last year. So next year things will be slightly different again. 9685, the Rotary Club of Northbridge, Windsor, Northwest Sunrise Bella Vista, Balgowlah, Castle Hill, Glenhaven, and Hornsby. from 9700, Blaney, Leeton and Young. From 9710, the Rotary Clubs of Canberra, Bateman's Bay, Barrel Mittagong, Cooma, Aurora Gungahlin, Berrima District, Canberra City, Canberra East, Canberra Western Creek, Goulburn Mulwaree, Woden Daybreak. From 9780, the Rotary Club of Cardinia, Ocean Grove, Warrnambool East, Highton, Ararat, Colac West, Queenscliff, and 9790, Tallangatta, Beechworth, Corowa, Diamond Creek. From 9800, the Rotary Club of Dalesford. From 9810, Bentley Moorabbin Central. And from 9830, the Rotary Club of Launceston, or as we say in Cornwall, Launceston. Or as they say in Launceston, Lanston. So that's the bronze medal award winners. And next up, I'd just like to share another video. So again, most of you will be aware that we opened an operations office in the Philippines probably 2 years back now. And my memory serves me correct, they actually did their first deployment before they were officially open, such as how busy things are in the Philippines. But we have two members of staff, they're local staff out there, and they do a fantastic job of coordinating the responses in the Philippines. And in between responses, they're out there building relationships with other NGOs on the ground and Rotary clubs, and overseeing the restocking of the warehouse. So right now they're extremely busy. We have an active deployment in the Philippines following Typhoon Goni, and looking to help 5,000 families, which is quite a sizable deployment with no response team on the ground. So here's a little update from the Philippines.
This year alone, we have responded to 3 major disasters. That includes the devastating eruption of Taal volcano, which saw almost 600,000 people affected, and the powerful Typhoon Vongfong, which brought torrential rains, washing away 3,000 homes and damaging a further 17,000. By having the ShelterBox warehouse fully stocked with aid, we have been able to respond quickly to these disasters. Families have used the aid not only to support their recovery, but also to help them protect from the spread of coronavirus. This has all been possible because of your support. We are now into typhoon season, and the next emergency could strike at any moment. Sitting as we do right now in the notorious Pacific Ring of Fire, the Philippines is one of the most disaster-affected countries in the world. Typhoons, volcanic eruptions, and earthquakes are the common natural hazards here. With all these threats, me and my team are constantly monitoring these weather disturbances. As we all know, 2020 has been a year of great difficulty for many. Any family without shelter will always be vulnerable. But now, with coronavirus, this means it is more than important than ever that people have a safe place to call it home.
So that's fantastic. That report there from our team in the Philippines. Like I said, they're extremely busy. I think a week after Goni hit, another very strong typhoon, Varco, hit. Unfortunately, we can only respond to one at a time given the current circumstances, and obviously the warehouse in the Philippines will have to be restocked so that we can respond to the next one, which will be around the corner, no doubt. Now, next up, I'd like to announce the winners of the Silver Award, and this goes to the clubs that have given up to $3,000 a year for the past 3 years, and so given the current circumstances and last year's devastating bushfires that wreaked havoc throughout the country here, obviously, and understandably so, people's focus was on helping people at home, but as we're very well aware that it's not just Australians that are suffering at these natural disasters, and as a Rotarian myself, I do think that we should not only help the people at home, but think about those less capable of helping themselves overseas. So here are the winners of the Silver Awards. District 9455, the Rotary Club of Midland Swan Valley, the Rotary Club of Swan Valley, and the Rotary Club of Kalamunda. From 9465, the Rotary Club of Esperance. From 9685, the Rotary Club of Crow's Nest. And 9520, the Rotary Club of Mitcham, South Australia. So let's give another silent clap to all those clubs for a really fantastic effort. Moving right along. Earlier on this year, just before Easter, Cyclone Harold hit Vanuatu, and this was really around about this time when countries were shutting down their borders, and ShelterBox was realizing just how difficult it was going to be to keep working in the COVID world. Vanuatu shut its borders pretty quickly. It was COVID free. It didn't allow anybody into the country, and therefore responding to Harold was going to prove difficult. Luckily, we had responded in Vanuatu back in 2015 to Cyclone Pam, and made some good relationships with CARE International, who are permanently working. And so over a period of time, we drew up an agreement and a memorandum of understanding. And although it took a little longer than we like to respond, it's just a fact of life in the COVID world. We sent aid through for 2,000 families, and really pleasing to know and see some of the wonderful pictures that came back. They might have been 3 months later, but some of the families we reached on the outlying remote islands, the ShelterBox aid was the first aid they'd received since the cyclone. So all that effort was well worth it. And again, I'd just like to play a little video that tells the story.
I'll be blaming Ali cry, well, cry, Ale, Nicaraguan blanket, we were to miss Kusim of time, Miss Army contact, but you will hide no more, no blanket, yeah, no more stuff. Small houses, small, be like fast no more. Like fast no more, no more, say you miss it inside. Bless the high, please me, 1 year no man, stop every house in full town minutes. Well, the money will be like open and door when you have them say. Yeah, you know, local house, all house in the house in my watch idea. My God, close from me, all about your winning success. Call back. I'm hanging with my look closer, what I close you fast. Put them all blanket, put them all mattress, and now will start was and male, start put them by again. Me will haram cook, we will stack and we will have help, me will alone. Mix me will stack out close cyclone. Mi vila hare se like easy lo mi vila por se mi vila sami kem house lo mi vila ya be sim se half na tangura blo har ken we I per mol ge tanu mo ale mi kem se all tabole ni kam ya ale mi vila ke stop paraw ne mi kol mak lo mi vila lai lukol ting lo mi vila we fly ki mi vila haram kut lem from se all something we mi vila needing we lo mi vila be like mi vila easy lo mi vila sa yusum mi kem se mi vila na fa ne mi ha ka lo mi vila Wala ko tali tanggi tu maslo ke tahu tanggi tu maslo juga lah we will stop plus 7 mi vila we mi vila stala kata en mi vila tanggi mi vila stalu kata en kut mi vila semse kami tali mo semse mi vila haram semse mi vila
So there you go, some happy faces from Vanuatu. The only thing I'd add to that is please don't donate via ShelterBox USA. make sure you do it on the Australian website. Now, moving right along, we've now moved on to our last awardees of the night, and these are the Gold Champion Awards. So these are for clubs that have given $5,000 or more for the past 3 years. And it gives me really great pleasure to announce from District 9685, and it's nice to see Peter Timmerman here on the meeting, the Rotary Club of Chatswood.
Yay.
And the only other gold award goes to a club from District 9700, the Rotary Club of Wulundri, Wagga Wagga.
Oh.
So thank you very much to those clubs, and thank you to all of you. I know that my club has 15 members, and for obvious reasons we support ShelterBox every year, and I know that's been difficult fundraising, especially again with the bushfires and then COVID, meaning that people can't meet. But I hope you've seen enough this evening to know that your money is being well spent and it's having a real impact on the lives of those affected by disaster. Like I said, tonight it's not about giving, it's about saying thank you to you for your support. Now, there is just a bit of a public service announcement before we wrap things up. Some of you may be aware by your club secretaries and volunteers that work throughout the districts, but we have a giving day planned for the 10th of December. This coincides with World Human Rights Day, and we are promoting the fact that shelter is a basic human right. And the idea is that we've got a bank of donors and clubs that have already donated into a match funding pool, and on the day we'll be looking to double that pool. So we're hoping we should have $50,000 in our funding pool by that day, and then on the day we will look to at least double that amount, and hopefully this goes some way to make up the shortfall in income that we've suffered, again just because of the circumstances of COVID. But it also gives clubs that support us, if funds are low, and I fully understand it's only the beginning of the Rotary year really as far as fundraising is concerned. I know my club only just did its first Bunnings barbecue earlier this month. But one thing we would like you to do is to share our message, and the next video I'm going to play will be posted on our Facebook. It'll be on the web page. We're going to be sharing this all over the place, and we would love you to get on board and share it with your networks, because much as we love and rely on the support that we get from Rotary clubs, what we really want to do is reach beyond Rotary and raise awareness in the general public of the work that we do. And I think, and I certainly know this from my experience with my club, by sharing the work that ShelterBox does, we're also promoting the work that Rotary does. And it's a great way of getting new members interested in joining Rotary and letting them know that the scope of what Rotary can achieve around the world. So I've just gone backwards there. Let's play this very short video to explain our campaign. Can you imagine losing your home, your livelihood, and everything you own to natural disaster or conflict?
I can't. But for 104 million people around the world right now,
this is their reality. At ShelterBox, we recognize that shelter is a human right.
Why? Because shelter is more than just a roof over your head. It's a home.
Shelter is the foundation for life, for communities, for families, and for peace.
Shelter creates a safe space for families to sleep, eat, rest, and regain their strength.
Shelter protects families from the burning heat, bitter cold, from dangerous chemicals, and disease.
Shelter creates a space where families can isolate away from others and reduce the risk of coronavirus.
shelter is essential.
Shelter is life-saving.
Shelter is a human right.
So there you go. If anyone would like, that video is actually available on our YouTube channel. So if anyone would like the link, please get in touch with myself or Kieran. If you can get it posted on your club website or your district website, that would be fantastic. We'll be sending out a press release. If you've got any local connections with the press, again, please get in touch. We can send you a copy of the press release. Myself and a few other the response team are available to do interviews live on the radio. And what we really want to do is make this big day a very big success and a great big advert for the work that ShelterBox and Rotary does around the world. That's really is it from me. But I think now that we've got so many people together, there's an opportunity to answer any of your questions. So I'm going to stop the screen share and perhaps if you can, because I can't see everybody, but perhaps if we can maybe put a question in the chat, then I can answer it from there.
I've already put a question in the chat, Mike.
I think Joanna might have asked it privately to you. Oh no, privately to you maybe, Mike, because I can't see it on the public. You got one?
No.
Well, just ask away.
Just to ask away, Joanna.
Okay, I just wanted to know if I could have the first two videos that you showed. You know, the Global Humanitarian Award and the one prior to that. How do I get hold of those? Do I download them or what do I do? We
can certainly make all those videos available.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent. Very, very hard moving.
Yeah,
that's good. Yep.
I think that's a great one. I did a presentation last week to Rotary Club of Kingscliff, Northern New South Wales, and I think showing that you know, that recognition not of just of Rotary, you know, with us with the partnership, but the fact that it's very much a reciprocal relationship, that we really do appreciate Rotary's support, and that goes right to the top and the renewal of the project partnership. It's really important that clubs know about that.
Mike, Joanna just mentioned these videos you presented. I'd be very interested in the video referred to as 2017, was produced in 2017, you said.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in that one, which I can show around the club here.
Yeah, sure. There are a couple of other ones. So as part of our partnership agreement with Rotary, then ShelterBox produces a video to be shown at the convention every year. So there are a couple of others that we can make available. I particularly like that one, mainly because of the joyous singing of the ladies in Malawi, and it kind of top and tails the message beautifully.
Mm.
Also, Mike, for our district conference, doing that Global Humanitarian Award would go over really, really well, because what's the chap's name again?
John Hugo.
Yeah, he actually came out to Australia, so a lot of clubs in my district know him. So that would be great.
Yeah, certainly. Well, we'll make sure that's available to everybody, not just volunteers. If people want to show that at their club, then please get in touch.
Yeah.
I'll arrange to put it on our public ShelterBox Australia YouTube channel, so then everyone here tonight, volunteers, clubs, anyone can look at it and use it as they like.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, if there are no more questions, I will just say a very big thank you to you all for giving up your time. I know that all of you as Rotarians have to give up more than one evening a week in the line of service. And again, thank you all very much. Please pass on my thanks to your clubs for their continued support, because as Sanj said, we really can't do what we do without you, and we can't achieve what we want to achieve without your support, and hopefully drag a few of your friends and colleagues along with us this year. I wish you all a very good night and a good afternoon, and a good morning to you, Sanj. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers all.
Must catch up to Peter Timmerman. Must
Pardon?
catch up with your club soon.
You what? You're coming to our club?
I said we need to catch up soon.
Oh yes, we should.
Yeah.
We should, yeah.
Yeah. Can I just ask you, are you doing that big fundraising dinner again this year?
The what?
Next year? The fundraising dinner that you usually
Oh, we
do
do.
next year?
That's how we raise all our funds. We do what we call international dinners. One of my former colleagues, Dieter Thorheiden, and I started this 20 years ago when we first.
Yeah, I just wonder if you're going
be
to
doing
run
it whenever we can.
Because I'd love to come.
Oh yeah, you will be invited then. Okay.
Okay.
We do this, so this won't be Oktoberfest. There'll be going to be two dinners before that. I'm planning 2 dinners before 30th of June to keep our high ranking in the, in the community. And
Very pleased to hear that.
That's what we've been doing now for many years, and it's the easiest way because it's a social gathering, you know, and having an Oktoberfest is very easily done. You know, I mean, a lot of people love it and they come along and we help out with Rotary. I mean, to me, that's the easiest way of doing it.
Yeah. Well, great job. Absolutely excellent job. You know, just years in a row, just really great effort. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I didn't know there was only 2 gold awards in Australia, but you know, that's fantastic. Well done.
I mean, I nearly didn't sign in today because we have our Rotary meeting as we speak. It finishes in 5 minutes. And I signed for that.
Yeah, link in and tell them. Link in and tell them.
No, I will. I would have, but it's probably too late now. If I sign off, I will go in. But I mean, we won it last year and the year before, you know.
Yeah.
So but look, we don't do this because it won an award. We do this because we love doing it, and the members are really behind us. You know, it's when we call
but you're very, very passionate about ShelterBox, and it certainly comes through. It shows through.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
if you can have fun doing something,
And I look forward to another visit to your club.
look forward to that too.
Okay.
Same here.
All right.
Thanks.
See you,
And
see you,
see you,
Mike.
Mike.
See
Say
you.
hello to
See
your
you,
parents
guys.
from me. Say hello to your parents from me.
Yes, I will. Yeah.
Right?
Thanks, Peter.
Cheers.
See you. See you, Graham. Graham, are you there? Did you have a question? You're on mute. You have to unmute, Graham. That's it.
I was going to ask, is there a depot in Australia still where you have a pre-positioned collection of kits and boxes?
No, at the moment we don't store anything in Australia. The closest hub here, we obviously have the Philippines, but we also have storage in Malaysia. And so in the past we had aid stored with DHL down in Melbourne, but if we're honest, you couldn't be much further away from the action than Melbourne, because all the disasters are way up to the north. So there is talk of looking to pre-position shelter kits and other aid, probably in Brisbane or Darwin, and that would help us service the Pacific, easier. But the logistics is always changing, and certainly I know that the stuff that the aid that went to Vanuatu came from both Malaysia and Dubai, where there's a big United Nations depot as well, which we're part of. So the beauty of that is also that there's lots of flights coming through KL and Dubai. So well, there certainly were. There aren't so many now.
Thanks for that.
No worries. Look, thanks for tuning in.